And you have.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahilladzi ijtama'ana ala kalimatihi. I am grateful to ISAR and particularly our President of FEMA, Professor Ehsan Karaman, to ask me to talk about what's happening in Pakistan and Southeast Asia regarding bioethical issues. As far as I know, I learned a lot in the last 2 days as well. I don't think there is much difference between Turkey and Southeast Asia. But anyway, I'll try my level best to touch upon a very probably unattended topic is the medical error and how we look upon medical error in Islamic perspective as well. I'll try to be very brief on a few issues. We will try to define medical error. What are these? What are the different types? What is the scale of this issue? Why I have selected this? And what are the legitimacy of the medical profession in Islamic perspectives? And how we can manage the medical errors? And what are the Sharia guidelines regarding that? It's very important that we should be knowing there are certain crisp Sharia guidelines regarding medical errors. In Al-Maqasid al-Sharia serve the best interests of human being as far as I know. And my brother, he talked about the assisted fertilization. I think there are a few issues which are still to be discussed, and they are coming back, and they are very burning in issues, and there is a lot of gray area in bioethical issues. But at the same time, issuing fatwa in the Southeast Asia and Malaysia is being done by different organizations. For example, in Malaysia, there is Dar al-Ifta. In Pakistan, there is a Council of Islamic Ideology. In Makkah, there is a World Muslim League and Fatwa Committee of OIC, and so on and so forth. And in India, there is organization or a institution called Dar al-Ulum in India, which probably discuss mostly, and they have so many publications on there. In Pakistan and other Muslim countries, the task of issuing a fatwa and opinion on biomedical issues is either exercised by the great number of muftis. There are so many muftis in Pakistan everywhere, and therefore they issue fatwa times to time, but there are national, regional, and institutional review boards. These boards are very powerful. They are representative as well, and they have medical scholars. They sit down with the religious scholars to develop any opinion. How they develop the opinion is very interesting, and I think it has been discussed, but mainly in the institutional review board or the regional review board, we call it ethical board or review board. It's one and the same thing. When they receive a question, they first try to define the issue, what issue is. They need to understand, but because the ulama, they need to understand what the issue is. Then they frame the questions. And these questions are could be like that. What are the direct Sharia instructions regarding the issue under discussion? What are the available source of Sharia or directive available or already available in the literature? If there is any textual or nas available, and then both the groups, they sit down together and make a collaborative efforts and scholarly efforts to come up with the answer of the question. And as I said, that there are 4 steps we follow in our institution. We have a very strong institutional review board. Firstly, we try to understand it. Secondly, we determine the qualification of the person who is doing this. And thirdly, the committee should also determine the liabilities, particularly in the case of medical error. And fourthly, we will fix the responsibility and who is going to pay the damage caused by this medical error. What is an error? Error in Arabic, it is khata, is a mistake, but not always a mistake. Medical error is not always a mistake. Sometimes it could be deliberate as well. So therefore, I try to classify as, and in definition, which is universally accepted, that any adverse event causing harm to the patient during the process of patient's management including the failure to perform according to the professional standards and honest mistakes, mistakes without negligence, avoidable mistake or unavoidable mistakes. And it could be because of the violation of the bylaws which are imposed for the safety and protection of any particular patient. What is the scale of issue? This has been reported in from Mayo Clinic that the third most common cause of death in the United States is the medical error. So it's the scale, it's after cardiovascular and the malignancy is the third most common cause of death. So you can see the nature and the scale of issue. And secondly, in most of the countries, this medical errors are not being reported. And there is a poor reporting system as well. And in United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Germany, they are reported less. And in one of the report which came recently from GMC, one in 20 patients die because of the medical error. So if 20 patient dies in United Kingdom, out of those, one patient dies because of the medical error. Generally, the reporting system for the medical error is not adequately efficient, and only less than 10% of these medical errors are reported even in the developed countries. Now, these errors are classified according to the different levels and different nature and etiology and severity of the process. According to the etiology, it could be of ordinary nature. Being a human being, we can forget something, or we can do something out of our being a human being, or it could be a professional error. We call it the professional error or professional mistake is only related with the doctors or those who are practicing medicine. Error could be deliberate as well. Now, people would say that who insane doctor will perform a deliberate error, but there are people around who are performing deliberate error as well. Could be unintentional error or intentional error, or it could be depending upon the severity of the harm. It could be the very severe, and therefore you can see this pyramid is very interesting. The majority of the errors are very severe. Some of them are moderate and mild are not reported. Why they go on the top of the pyramid? Because they are not reported. So if they are not reported, how you can record them? And medical error could be related to the pharmacy as well, or the manufacturing of the medical devices, manufacturing of the surgical disposable, and so on and so forth. It could be the manufacturer error from very beginning, and you might have seen I read that in Pakistan there was one drug which was prescribed to the cardiac drug. It was drug against the hypertension. Anti-hypertensive drugs were prescribed to 15 people, and 13 people out of those they died because of the overuse of some ingredient which should not be there in that, or contamination. We don't know exactly, but there was something. So this has occurred. There could be a prescription error. Sometimes, we are not very conscious. While prescribing, one should be very, very conscious. When you hand over the prescription to the patients, we should be very, very conscious what what should be the dose of certain drug, how it should be taken. It should be taken orally. And just take the example of the potassium chloride. Potassium chloride is a drug which is used for the hypokalemia. That is a condition when some people have a diarrhea or other condition when the potassium level in the blood is very low. If you give it IV, suddenly you give a push IV potassium chloride, patient will instantly die. So it's the route as well as the dose and so on and so forth. And also the how it is being given to the patient and in what interval as well. Then sometimes the patient is not aware of what has happened with them. And sometimes it is a very active event and the patient suffer a lot. Sometimes the patient comes after some time, and sometimes you have a near miss, negligence, or adverse effect of their negligence as well. Now, it's very important before you decide that whether error has actually occurred or not, or where it's going to fix the responsibility of the patient, of the doctor. You need to internalize the medical profession as well, because it is not being done only by the doctors. Doctors don't do it. These are the lawyers, these are the judges, and these are people who are sitting somewhere else, and they decide that he has given the wrong drug, he might have prescribed the wrong surgical procedure, and so on and so forth. We need to internalize the medical profession, what medical profession is about. And we need to also understand the legitimacy of the medical profession. And the safety of the patient probably is the topmost aim of every doctor. And it is very important that in Quran it has been that whenever I fell ill, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me the shifa, cure me. Thank you very much. Shifa. So the remedy of every illness is being mentioned in Quran and Hadith as well. And you might know this Hadith which I've listed here is narrated by 3 books. Those who are ulama of Hadith, they might be knowing this is narrated in Muslim. It is narrated in Tirmizi and Ibn Majah as well. And with slight difference, it has been narrated in 3 places. And it clearly says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down a disease, and He has also sent down a remedy or the treatment for that as well. It is, if a non-Muslim doctor doesn't go for the research and find out the remedy or the treatment of certain disease which is considered to be not treatable, say for example, the Parkinsonism is considered is not treatable, we believe strongly, because Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, and I share you at the end, that it's not the Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it's also the Wahi. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows this hadith sahih, which says that He has not sent down a disease where not sent down a remedy for that, or the treatment for that, a cure for that. So it is now our duty. Being a Muslim, it is our prime duty, prime responsibility to do research, go and find out the treatment and cure of that particular disease, which is considered otherwise not a treatable disease. And there is a Hadith Qudsi as well, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks you, "O son of Adam, I fell ill and you have not visited me." So it is also directly related with the medical profession. So this hadith also says the person will reply, "Oh Lord, and how you should visit? I should visit you when you are a Lord of the universe, Lord of the world." And He will say, "Did you not find my servant?" And this doesn't mean my servant means a Muslim patient. It could be a non-Muslim patient. My servant so-and-so had fallen ill and you visited not him. So this is very important, and so on and so forth. This is Hadith Qudsi, and you know the value of Hadith Qudsi is very high. And now the medical profession, therefore, most of the ulama in Sunni as well as the Shia, they consider that it is fardh kifaya, and we are not going to discuss because of the time. And it is I think it is the last presentation, my last talk, and you will then enjoy a very good panel discussion here, and I will do that as well, inshallah. But I'll try my level best to finish it as early I can see the faces. Okay. Then there are few principles, and I find there 1,250 hadiths directly related with the practice of medicine. And there are more than 1,000 ayah in Quran which are directly or indirectly give you guideline how about the practice of medical practice and healthcare. So, for example, one of the important hadith, it's also a hadith say which said, "Whosoever practice medicine without any prior knowledge of medicine will be held responsible for that, is liable." And in Quran there is a direct, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. You will be asked about that. So don't pursue the things. We should not be allowed, we are not allowed, if not a plastic surgeon and not a vascular surgeon and performing vascular surgery and making the life difficult for my patient, then I should be punished. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you should not follow the profession or the work which you don't have knowledge about that. And this knowledge means expertise as well. You must be having expertise about that as well. And therefore, ittaqullah, I have this put this the next ayah as well, so that we should be aware that we are answerable. We are being a Muslim. It is we believe strongly in that we are answerable to our deeds. We should our every work, every deed will be we will be asked for that. Then, if you are talking about a Hazik doctor, and probably the brother will also translate for me what does it mean, the Hazik doctor. He should be having few important qualities, and some of those qualities which I have listed as, he should be a patient and God-fearing person, should be performing justice, and I quoted few ayah of Quran and Hadith regarding that. He should be developing humility, must not cause any harm to the patients. This is very important. Our act should not cause any harm to our patient. This should be our niyyah. Being a human being, we can do mistakes. We are a human being, but at the same time, our niyyah should be, we must not cause any harm to our patient or zarar. We should be honest in our patient. We should be developing the habits of forgiveness and tolerance as well. And the manner a doctor should practice is he should be having a strong proficiencies, having a cutting edge knowledge of his profession, what is our specialty, what he is practicing, and follow the strong Islamic manner. The Islam makes you on the right path. So strong manners and conducts and behavior and feeling responsible every time, and you should be consistent with your job. Should not be having it's not the job of those who sometimes think we can do this job and leave it tomorrow. We should be consistent in that as well. And then at the same time, the physician should know what is haram and what is halal, what he is prescribing to his patients. He should be knowing what he is prescribing to his patients, and particularly in learning the societies as well. Different society have different norms, and therefore at the end I will discuss the uruf as well a little bit. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, it's a famous hadith as well, treat your patients but with not try to avoid haram unless you are pushed for that as well, and we will discuss it. Once you a case of medical error is being referred to you to an institutional review board for your review, what you will do? First of all, we need to know what medical error is about, how it is done, recognize the medical error and its reporting system is. Most of the time in the West, it is a system failure. It is not the person. If I commit a mistake and repeat it again and again, it is the system failure. Then are there preventive measures for the medical error? And we should also be knowing what are our liabilities if we commit errors, and the compensation which should be there, and whether the compensation is being done by the institution, individuals, or it is being done by the government. And you can only prevent the medical errors if correct, timely, and systematic reporting system is existing in your institution. This I quoted here, and I skip inshallah and leave this presentation for those who can get. But you can only prevent error if you know about those. We know the complications. Those who are surgeons, they know we have certain list of known complication of certain operative procedure. But at the end of the day, why we know that? And we teach our students that these complications do occur. But we teach them to prevent. How to prevent these complications? We should be knowing about that. We should always develop a teamwork and always try to educate ourselves and our trainees as well. And at the same time, the physician, if you see any cases being referred to your committee back, you need to determine where this type of error was intentional or not intentional. What has occurred to the patient as well. Now, liability of a physician in a medical error is being determined on the basis of few questions. First of all, the question is when the physician is qualified or not. This is a first more question. If he is a qualified plastic surgeon or not a qualified plastic, he is qualified to do hair transplant or not. The people die of hair transplant. As recently we got a report from Dubai. A very prominent leader of India, he went for hair transplant. He died after local anesthesia complications. So the complications are there. Whether this gentleman is being licensed by the licensing authority or not, accredited or not. Okay, if he has not refused the patient in the emergency situation and the patient died because of his refusal of providing after treatment in emergency situation, and if he has not disrespected the confidentiality of the patient, and it is very important, confidentiality, we can talk hours and hours about that, and it's a very important issue. Where he has not caused an intentional harm, you might have seen, and I was discussing with the brother, there was one nurse in United Kingdom, she killed 21 babies by giving overdose of insulin intentionally. So what do you think about that? Is it intentional or not intentional? Is there any professional negligence, or the negligence is negligence which is being caused by as a human being? Whether he has violated the basic professional norms or not while providing the care. In these days and age, the medical practice, even in the ambulatory situation, in the general practice, in the periphery as well, it is a group practice nowadays. Most of the time, you are being assisted by few people, and you are being also not only assisted by your help, but you delegate part of your procedure to someone else as well. And therefore, a team leader will also be responsible for the guidance, performance, and continuous professional development of his team as well. So this is one of the important principles. Institutions providing healthcare must be held responsible for the faulty system, because it is the system in the institutions, why they allowed the incompetent surgeon to operate in their institution. If it can happen once, twice, if it happens repeatedly, this clearly means that there is something wrong with the system as well. Now, if you're trying to determine the legitimacy of the compensation of this, there is the compensation of the losses caused due to error could be is directly related in Quran that every soul will be held and played responsible for his deed. And the everything which is good or bad, we will be answerable for that. And there's another ayah, and I'll just skip it and come to the next. There are few principles which I could be able to find from the Sharia literature, which are applicable why you try to determine the legitimacy of the compensation for the medical errors. These should be dealt very carefully, and these principles are derived from the Al-Maqasid al-Sharia. And what are those principles? These are, first of all, the intention. I'll quickly go through first and then leave some time for discussion, because I like discussion at the end, inshallah. The principle of intention is the foremost, innamal a'malu binniyat, very famous hadith, a part of big hadith, lengthy hadith, but this says the intention. Now you can say intention, to measure intention of a doctor is a tedious job. It is an uphill task, it's not possible. But it can be measured. It can be my year because if I have a patient, for example, I'm a dermatologist or a skin specialist, I have a patient who has a curable skin cancer. And every now and then the patient comes to me, I prescribe some cream to him, and I know this is skin cancer which is curable if it is being treated surgically, but you don't refer it to the surgeon. Or the other way, if a patient is comes to you being a GP with the renal stone, and you don't refer this patient to Professor Ehsan Karaman for treatment, and take the stone out, and then what happened? And then ultimately the patient developed renal failure. Who is responsible? So it's a NIA. It can be determined by your action as well. So it is not as difficult as the people are thinking. So then the principle of certainty. It's the principle of certainty means that whatever you are doing has got some evidence based. It's a evidence-based practice is the principle of the certainty. Then I wrote few Arabic as well, from where I got this, I borrowed these principles. Overpowering or sending a zanne ghalib is equivalent to certainty. If something you think that it can happen, more than 50% it can happen, it would have happen, then it is equal to certainty. A person would be stand responsible for his deed only. Whatever he does, he is responsible for that. What he has not done or something out of some doubt, you cannot charge him. A person is presumed innocent unless proved otherwise. Unless he proved that he is guilty for doing something things. This is another Sharia maximus. Then the basic rule of things is the permissibilities. So unless the things are prohibited, the things are permitted. So exclusively it is being said that this thing is prohibited, so you can't do it. And the things are mainly prohibited, permissible. You are born without zimma or responsibility. So a person is born without responsibility. So if the responsibility, he does something and responsibility, and then it is being faced. Damage and benefits are together. So you know the treatment, whenever you prescribe treatment, the patient get benefits of that. And the damages and the benefits, they go to side by side unless you explain the patient about the impending or existing complication of your treatment. There should be neither harming nor reciprocating harm. There should be no zarar. No, should not be causing any injury to the patient intentionally or unintentionally. An action secondary to another. So any action which is being done secondary to another. So for example, it is very important that we should be doing surgical procedure in a utmost sterile condition. So for sterility, you need to do certain things before the surgical procedure. So those things which are done before the surgical procedure, you scrub your hands and prepare for the surgery. This preparation is becoming the part of that procedure as well. So it is important that if you have committed that procedure or omitted that procedure in the beginning and directly went on surgery without doing those, so you should be liable for that as well. Okay, I know, inshallah. I'll finish in 5 minutes, don't worry. An action secondary to another action, the group leader is responsible. So is this the trainers? The trainers who are doing training of their trainees, he is responsible more than anyone else, unless the things are not related to his training. So a trainer or a professional trainer, he is responsible for his deed as well. And he is more responsible than anyone else. Add the fact to the actor, not to the commander, unless doer is compelled. This is very important, that if you do something on the command of someone else, then you can't say that I have done it because Mr. Flan told me to do that. It is you. Once you do it, you are responsible. Unless you are compelled to do that. So there are certain conditions where you are compelled to do this job. The responsibility lies on the doer rather than the commander, unless you are compelled. Whoever rushed something prematurely was punished with the deprivation of the. For example, a medical student, if he starts practicing medicine and causes harm to the patients, his training should be can be revoked, and he should be deprived of the degree or the qualification which he is trying to get there. What is done except on the duty is duty. So if you are assigned to do something and you do something, that you need to do it. And an action is compulsory, but another action was also required to do that. So if you do something and before doing this, anesthesia is required prior to surgical procedure. If you give anesthesia, that is also essential as the part of your job as well. This is very crisply understandable. The origin to speak is truth. Sharia forbade to get the money from another without the permission, permissible reasons. You cannot charge someone else without the permissible reason. Compulsions does not invalidate the rights of the other. If you are compelled, you cannot take the rights of someone else. The unavoidable action may be forgiven. So if you are compelled somewhere to do, for example, it is prohibited to examine a patient of the opposite sex without the presence of third person. We discussed it yesterday. But in emergency situation, it is allowed. The presence of difficulty requires that allowance be made to the effect to ease the situation. Then issue are dealt on the face value. You don't go, don't go into the depth of the things if the things are apparent. The decisions are made based on the available evidence. In case of someone file a case, the burden of the proof lies on the complainant. Whosoever complains, you need to provide the evidence for that. Is custom or uruf is the basis of judgment, and custom is the arbitrator as well. Permissible in law cannot be caused by for liability. Though anything which is permissible in law, you cannot sue someone for that. What is waived cannot be restored. If you have pardoned your brother for the mistake you have done, if you have pardoned, if you have been injured by the doctor, and you have pardoned the doctor, you cannot revoke it. You cannot they say no, I'm not pardoned it. So once you pardon it, that's it. And what is waived off cannot be restored, nor it can be. The settlement of the discard is desirable. This is the final thing which I could be able to find in Sharia, that we should sit down and settle the record. Now, there are a few things which I quickly go through. Are the in Islamic history, even before Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there was a system of akila. This system are the third party payment of whatever you do, whatever your errors, compensation of your error. So, and on the basis of this, there are health kafal and medical kafal available to pay the compensation. But in any way, we need to provide some reasons to the patients to provide them a absolute liability which occurs to our doctors. At the conclusion, I would say that while discussing any of these problems, and particularly when you are talking about the medical error, we should adopt an inductive and analytical approach towards that. And secondly, practical approach to the subject in the light of purpose and principle of Sharia, while determining the compensation for any crime, mistake that Sharia define 5 basic principles. These are the preservation of the Maqasid Sharia, implementation of the rule of law, the principle in true spirit, reduction in crime, error and negligence, balance in crime and remedy, and law should be indiscriminately applicable to everyone. I thank you very much for your patient listening, and I just put up 2 ayah here. One ayah speaks, you all know about this, is from Surah Nahl, which he speaks, and do not become like the woman who, after having painstaking spun and yarn, cause it to the disintegration into pieces. This is that all effort we do to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to get the reward in the next world. And we should not be like that woman, after painstaking efforts, she does everything, makes something for her livelihood, and then she torn it into pieces. We should not be doing that. So you should be very, very careful about that. And the next ayah which I share with you, and whatever Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam give it, take it, wherever he prohibits, we should not be doing it. Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan kaseeran. I thank you once again, and I'm very, I apologize for my speed, but I think I will leave it, I developed an article on that for this particular institution. It's a very lengthy article, it's maybe 25 pages. I leave it, and it's the property of this institution. You can publish it, and you can send it me back for correction or doing it, inshallah. This is my contribution. I promise that, inshallah, I will be doing some contribution to this institution in future as well. Thank you very much.